All right, so we got some absolutely massive news today about Battlefield 6 because it just made franchise history. Plus, we got all new responses from the dev team. Things are going to be changing up here from the beta to the final release, but what are they looking to adjust in the future? And yes, the dev team is going to be making one significant change to the class setup. We'll talk about that. And we also got some brand new clarification as to what's going on with AI soldiers. There's some controversy around that. So yeah, we'll talk about what the dev team had to say about that one. And yes, the community is up in arms about some issues with Battlefield 6, including helicopter physics. Also, there's part of the community that are upset about the map size for Battlefield 6 compared to previous Battlefields. So it begs the question, are the maps just too small? And some players also feel like DICE has overdone it on some of the gadgets. We're going to talk about that as well. And yeah, this is my first time playing Battlefield 6, so I'm going to be giving my own opinions sprinkled throughout this video as well. But let's dive into all the news. So yeah, first and foremost, we need to talk about how the Battlefield 6 open beta just made Battlefield franchise history. Check it out right here. Yes, Battlefield 6's early access has surpassed the highest Steam player count in Battlefield's history. As you can see, the chart says it's sitting at 213,000 concurrents on Steam alone, but actually that ended up being inaccurate because we got a brand new update about this. Check it out right here. We got over 334,000 players simultaneously playing the open beta for Battlefield 6. This is absolutely unprecedented for the Battlefield franchise, and it beats out the previous Battlefield 2042 by a staggering amount, because that beta saw, I think it was like 151,000 or so concurrents at max, and I cannot wait to see what these numbers are going to be saying once we start heading into the weekend. This is absolutely monumental, and it goes to show also, I think that there's a lot of fatigue from Call of Duty, what they've done with their skins. People want a more realistic Battlefield experience, and finally, we have it. This game is releasing right at the perfect time. But we also got to get into more official news straight from the dev team, because things are going to be changing here in the future and for the better, as we have a brand new blog post, as you can see right here, about what's going on with the open beta and what they're looking to adjust here in the future. There's a lot to read here, but you know what? I'm going to ultimately go over the most important bits here, so we're going to start out with that. So by far, the most important thing out of this blog post are the changes that we're going to be seeing around weapon handling. Because right now, at the moment, everything is kind of out of date compared to what it should be. So check it out right here. They say this: weapon recoil in the open beta. So early access and the open beta use the same build as the multiplayer reveal event, and we want to acknowledge that we're aware of some of the feedback around weapon recoil patterns. While not present within the open beta, a series of balanced passes have already taken place around weapon recoil. However, they were not able to be included in the open beta build in time. So, the team is consistently paying attention to feedback around all things weapons, and will continue to keep players updated at a later point about more details specific to weapon balancing and gameplay. So I leave it up to you guys. What weapons right now are feeling great, but more importantly, what weapons need improvement, perhaps a buff? Sound off in the comments down below. Because yeah, ultimately DICE is listening to this feedback right now, and they're really in tune to what you guys are saying. So yeah, do not be silent about your opinions. I will say this much though, that the assault rifles are feeling great so far, at least in my opinion. But there are some people that feel like the shotgun in particular is just way too powerful. But then again, I do feel like the shotgun is supposed to be very powerful in CQC. So we'll see what DICE decides ultimately about that based on how the community is feeling also. But how are you guys feeling in particular about the shotgun right now? The dev team are also very aware of some issues that are plaguing some weapons right now. For example, several weapons back iron sight clip through the camera when firing in ADS if customized with some scope, so that's going to be addressed. And currently the primary weapon deploy function is delayed during sprint, so that will be also fixed as well. Also get this, players are unable to currently ping enemies when they're using stationary weapons. So if you've noticed that this is a problem, that will also be addressed. Same thing when you're in a vehicle, you might not be able to ping or spot enemies, so that is going to be fixed too. And it seems like some animations will be improving for the support class as well. And soldier supply providers are missing an animation there, so keep that in mind. So animations are going to be fine-tuned as we get closer and closer to launch. Also, by the way, the pickup prompt is missing for some of these gadgets, and the ability to bind crouch to a different key away from C is currently not functioning as intended. So if you're feeling frustrated about that, that will be addressed. So even if you rebound a different key C, will still function as crouch, unfortunately. And they're also going to be doing some updates to barbed wire because on capstone it doesn't currently do damage or slow the player down enough, so expect those to be more hazardous in the final build. Now we also have this post right here, clarification on AI soldiers within the open beta. And honestly, you really have nothing to worry about here, as they did confirm that AI soldiers are only going to be present on Training Grounds playlist, and this week, of course, is going to be Breakthrough Initiation. You can still experience Breakthrough alongside 15 other players, with additional AI soldiers filling up the match thereafter. Now, Training Grounds is available for the first 15 ranks only, at which point it will disappear from the front end, so they do expect you to go into the actual regular lobbies with other players. It's just an excellent warm-up spot for those that are completely new to the Battlefield experience. I think it's great for those that really are kind of like rusty with Battlefield and want to get into the flow of things. But yeah, AI soldiers are not going to be impeding on the regular game mode, which is fantastic news. Also, we have this news right here. The devs moved the deploy beacon to the assault class, so check this out. Although the deploy beacon has traditionally been a staple of the recon class, it hasn't been without its challenges, often being used by solo snipers to redeploy in hard to reach places. By moving it to the assault class, we're intentionally redefining it as a team play tool for frontline flanking and coordinated squad movement. The deploy beacon has a finite number of uses per squad and will self-destruct if the assault player spawns back on it, making it a tactical and limited resource rather than a persistent advantage. We believe this addresses concerns around assault being too focused on solo play. This has been met with some pushback, by the way, from the community. People are like, don't change it, keep it in the recon class. But then again, there are those that do appreciate that the assault class are going to be more of a team player, and that is going to be changing up the synergy within the squad. So how are you guys feeling about the assault class getting the deploy beacon in the future? But we do have these takes right here. Some responses might be in the minority, but I kind of feel this change makes sense to me. And furthermore, a very common request from labs testers, a solid change to address the viability of Assault's team play besides just killing better. So I've actually seen some opinions here where people are fine with the change, so it's pretty interesting to see how Battlefield is evolving here. You know, you got the support who can both heal and offer up ammo, and then the assault now can do those deploy beacons. But another hot button issue was, yes, helicopter. So helicopter physics is still atrocious in Battlefield 6. It's got 4,300 upvotes. Check it out. So this feels exactly like the helicopters in Battlefield 2042, if not worse somehow. If you don't know how that feels, imagine Far Cry helicopters. Impossible to crash, feels like it's on rails, can't do any maneuvers, physics fails, and looks super weird. Really hope this gets swapped out for the old helicopter physics from Battlefield 4. Here's some responses. I wish Battlefield players cared more about air vehicles so this would get upvotes. Seems like the biggest issue with the game right now, in my opinion. Haven't played yet though, only observed. Maneuvering seems very limited, which sucks. Battlefield 2 and 3 and 4 allow for sick maneuvers that raise the skill ceiling. And I have yet to hop into a helicopter myself, but that has been one of my favorite things about Battlefield, is getting into the helicopter and absolutely decimating the enemy. Let me know how you guys are feeling about the helicopter, if you feel like it needs an update, if it needs to be more fine-tuned with more nuanced controls for advanced players, for those advanced maneuvers, and you could have something there for really, really skilled pilots instead of what a lot of the community feels like it's just super easy. Also, we got to talk about, yes, gadgets. Check it out right here. I'm just going to say having 2 gadgets is just not it. This is OP. And here's the opinion. In the other good Battlefields, it was either the RPG or a homing. Some responses here. Pretty sure they mentioned in a blog this was going to be changed and you won't be able to take 2 launchers. And apparently they say this, yeah, on the last alpha build had it changed, but there was even more confusion. Then why is an alpha more updated than a beta? Because this is a server stress test first and foremost, and an advertisement second. They want to present the most stable version of the game they have available and make sure servers can handle the load come launch. But expect this right here to be changed in the future, it seems. And this is what I really, really wanted to talk about right here. Check it out. Maps are apparently, for some, way too small. Played 6 to 7 matches. Anyone else feel the same way? I feel like I never go more than 20 seconds without getting engaged in combat. Game feels more like Call of Duty in that regard. Helicopters feel terrible like 2042. Not sure how I feel yet. Not a great first impression. Now, this one has 2,300 upvotes, and we did get some takes here down in the replies. We only have small variants of less than half the maps coming in the base game. I swear, have any of you people seen the trailer or any of the discourse surrounding this game? Yeah, and someone did actually post their own thread about, for those complaining about map size, we have a lot of maps to go. This is only a small fraction of the map that are going to be offered to us in the full game, and there are going to be a lot of land and air vehicle maps. And there's one map here that does state that it's Battlefield 6's largest map, set in a sprawling war zone. So we haven't even had the chance to try that one yet. But it's interesting, there was a time when people were discussing Battlefield 2042, and it was kind of the opposite take, that maps in that game were just way too big, too lifeless, and just felt overall just awful. So here's my take on this one. So Battlefield Bad Company 2 in particular was one of my favorite Battlefields of all time, and it definitely did not have the biggest maps. In fact, I felt like that game had some of the most balanced maps when it comes to a Battlefield game. And I myself was kind of bummed by Battlefield 2042 with how the map designs were and also how big they were. I felt like they were way too big, and I feel like we're returning to what works in a Battlefield game. And don't get me wrong, I know for a fact that there are going to be very large maps in Battlefield 6. I'm super hyped for that. I just hope that they offer enough vehicles for us to get around. I do feel like the maps here strike a really good balance between being able to get around on vehicle. Maybe you're like kind of stranded, you don't have a vehicle, you should still be able to walk to an objective and get there in time. These maps seem to offer that, and that's what I've been looking for. So yeah, it's basically a return to a formula that worked beforehand, and it's great to see that we're back to this type of gameplay style. Plus, I really like the CQC Street Warfare. I am down for that, and I kind of want more of that. But to be honest with you, I'm absolutely having a blast in the Battlefield 6 open beta right now. You know, I was sitting there waiting for it to launch, seeing the countdown timer expire, and I was absolutely blown away that it worked right out of the gates. I haven't had too many issues. There have been some few bugs and glitches and things like that, but overall, for an open beta, I am super impressed with what they have accomplished so far. But yeah, there it is, the latest happenings around Battlefield 6. Let me know how you guys are enjoying it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Take care.